digital tripwire without committing the crime. Okay, guys, I got enough messages and emails on this. Here's the video. We're going to talk about the true real ID or true ID or whatever that's been going around, and let's find out what it's about. Let me put my tinfoil hat on, and let's get to it. The surveillance triangle. So I'm tying real ID to fusion centers, and I'm tying the fusion centers to covert tracking systems. And I believe it's not just an idea, it's a gateway to social surveillance state. And it ties back to our digital prison series from 2017 we were doing. Now, the Real ID Act, okay, it passed in 2005. The Real ID Act was sold to the public post 9/11 measure to enhance national security on the surface. It's just federally standardized driver's license, but behind the language lies a different possibility, a federalized ID tied to centralized intelligent nodes fusion centers. So I added the fusion centers in there because we did a whole thing back about fusion centers back in the day, okay? Under DHS guidelines, by May 7, 2025, every American will need this compliant ID to fly domestically or enter federal buildings. So this is May 7, 2025. So that's in a couple of weeks from now. The stage goal is to ensure identity verification, but we argued it creates a perfect infrastructure for nationwide digital identity tracking. And that's how they get us, right? It's all for safety. You give up freedoms, but in turn, the criminals gain more ground. Fusion centers, now let's go back to fusion centers and digital nerve hubs. Okay, we covered that back in 2015 when I was still in Vancouver. There are over 80 DHS recognized fusion centers across the U.S. These centers were originally created to help various agencies connect the dots in counterterrorism. But what happens when these centers designed to monitor patterns of behavior are directly linked to the national ID? Or the real ID, whatever you want to call it. Now, let's go back in time here. According to a 2012 Senate report, fusion centers had limited counterterrorism value. Yet, their budgets grew. And we went over the whole budget system, how they're opening more fusion centers and generating, or more tax dollars are being generated in the name of saving you from terrorists. Because that was the war at the time. And then was the war on drugs. It was all kinds of wars, right? And real values lie not in fighting terror, but building a domestic watch network. And that's from our video 1984, Digital ID Ahead via Social Credit Score, and that was on Ransom Lifestyle. Now, with biometric ready ID cards and data sharing mandates, fusion centers now have the legal cover to aggregate data travel, purchases, geolocations from IDs that are used for access to control or verification. Now, this is the important part, the science. Passive tracking hidden in plain sight, right? And that's why we're calling it a digital tripwire. We're coining it here, digital tripwire without committing a crime. While the official line is that the real ID cards don't contain RFID or GPS chips, that's only half the truth. So this is what I started finding out. The enhanced driver's licenses, the EDLS, issued in some states do contain passive RFID. And the infrastructure to read these chips exists in federal buildings, borders, and some toll traffic systems. Okay, so we know that already. But here's the kicker. They've been working with advances in nanotech, RFID, and magnetic induction coupling have made it possible to embed microscopic tracking elements with polymer substrates and polymer substrates of ID cards, right? These chips can be activated by low-frequency readers used in modern traffic lights, border crossings, and even retail security systems. These aren't GPS, but they act as proximity flags slightly registering the card's presence in high security or data-rich environments. So, watch this. Companies like Hitachi have been working close and have developed a microplastic RFID tag smaller than a grain of sand called the U-chip. It could easily create an invisible passive tracking grid. Now, not only that, it's interwoven in the polymer substrates of the ID cards. So you wouldn't even know. But there's ways to scan for it. I'm pretty sure there's people out there that can have scanning equipment, right? Now, automatic border notifications, a departure alert system. Now, watch this. Watch this. Now combine with fusion centers and border tech, when someone is carrying a real ID exits the U.S. through international airport and land crossings, RFID readers and identify verification systems and CBP databases can log the departure. Why? Through the automated targeting system ATS and tools like SEVIS and entry and exit programs, this departure could be flagged in real time. Fusion centers integrated into the DHS ecosystem could be notified, especially if that person is tagged for, here goes, behavioral anomalies like purchasing gold, attending protests, or traveling frequently to sensitive regions. Wait for it. Here's the punch. And debt load. Credit card debt and student loan debts are all documented in these centers. So if you owe money to Uncle Sam, you owe money, student loan, whatever, and you're trying to leave, this guy's leaving. Let's keep an eye on him now. He's got to come back and pay his debt off. Wow. And this ties back to a 2012 video I made in a mall. I'm going to see if I can find it on one of my external hard drives. With my friend Rob, if you guys remember him from a long time ago. 2012, video was called Friend Can't Visit England, Too Much Student Loan Debt. So I had a friend that wanted to visit England, but he actually wanted to run away to England and get married and settle there because he had a pile of student loan debt, a lot. I'm talking like $200,000 in student loan debt and racked up credit cards. So he booked the trip to England and blah, 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 set it all up. And this was in 2012. Rob. Yeah. So anyways, he calls me from the airport and says, can I get a ride back? I'm like, I dropped you off like 2 hours ago. You should be in the air. Oh, they're not letting me leave the country. Because, I don't know. So we kind of tied it. Apparently it was a student loan debt. It's just too high. You can't let him leave. Then he needs to pay it off. And I don't know what's happened of him. I haven't touched base with him since 2015, right? So, anyways, Real ID becomes the key. Fusion centers are the brains. Hidden RFID and nanotech tags are the veins. And border tech and surveillance AI are the eyes. Anyone, anytime could unwillingly trigger a digital tripwire without committing a crime. We coined that here today with multiple coins that we've done over the years. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Real ID, does this tie into the digital prison? Does it tie into the social credit scores we've been talking about? Does it tie into 5G? What is it? What is it really for? Oh, it's in the name of securing you and protecting you. No, it's not. We know that. It's old news. What is it for? Thanks for the emails, guys. Here it is. That's what I got on it. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.